All right, you guys, I got some emails that the next blog is presenting some challenges for you, and people are a little nervous or unsure of what to do. So I'm making this great, embarrassing selfie video to encourage you and give you some tips for how you can get this done and keep succeeding like you have been for the other blogs we've been working on this quarter. I think you should start by making a simple T-chart of our two sources that we're looking at for this week. Start by writing down notes as you read or after you're done reading, what is small place or a small place about thus far. Then try to answer the same question for House on Mango Street and just take some broad sweeping notes reflecting on these two sources separately. Now add a more personal question. How do I feel or react to the text? And answer that for a small place. And do the same thing for Mango Street, continuing to think about the two separately as much as you can, but allowing yourself, if you find similarities or differences between the two texts, to note those as well, or draw arrows, or whatever you want to do. So you need to write pie paragraphs. What you're ultimately looking for, therefore, are points or ideas of your own thinking, your own arguments in response to these two texts and the ideas from them this week. Look back at your notes and see if there's a theme or a commonality arising that makes you have a light bulb moment. I'm looking at this and I see that there's a theme of escapism, this feeling of being stuck, and so I want to make my own point about that. All right, don't steal my idea. I'm being nice here by showing you what to do, but I've taken my notes and I've converted them into a point sentence, a draft for my first paragraph. The desire to escape one's circumstances is not limited to places of obvious despair, but impacts even those who live in, that's crummy, but you know what I mean, the most beautiful places in the world. So next, I need to bring in some information. I need to sip from House on Mango Street and explain how my point is true. And then guess what I do next? That's right, I am going to keep layering. I'm going to sip from a small place and I'm going to explain even more. I'm going to add layers and dig deeply into my topic and work in really specific details from the sources to try to convince my audience that this point I'm making is interesting and relevant and arguable and worth reading for them. So then I have to find something else to say. I have to go back through my notes or read through my first paragraph and say, what comes next? What else is left to prove? Is there a counter argument that I should consider? It's whatever you're inspired to write about, as long as you're following the basic formats we've been practicing all quarter. Which means that you have a title, you have two paragraphs. Both of those paragraphs begin with a point or an idea that's your own original thinking. There's a works cited section. Both sources are listed in proper MLA 8th edition format. You are bringing in information from both of the sources, doing at least 3 sips from each in proper sip format with specific page numbers. You introduce those sources, you italicize book titles and quote minor titles. You probably shouldn't have any in this particular blog post. You capitalize correctly and you explain yourself. You make it interesting. You revise and edit for sentence variety and sentence accuracy. And then you make sure that there's a really great transition between both paragraphs to make the whole thing feel like a unified blog post. Okay, so here is the encouragement part. I just wrote this in an email to one of you. I want to read it to everyone. Just go for it. Everyone's grades are so padded right now that there's really nothing to lose and there's everything to learn. This blog is not a test, it's just a challenge. I'm going to try to really support you guys, and we have weeks left. We have just a bit of time to make sure that you feel really confident with academic writing, and this is our moment to really pull that off and to make sure that I've set you guys up for success in the future.